Hashtag Chapter 1, The Password of Doom. The sky split open like a wound in the fabric of reality. Lightning cascaded across the skyline of Manhattan, painting skyscrapers in a sickly violet glow. Ancient syllables rolled through the air, words no human throat had spoken in 10,000 years. A circle of towering figures emerged from the rift, their robes shimmering with galaxies embroidered in gold thread. 200 years of training, 2 centuries of meditation, a dozen star systems pillaged for their libraries. This was the moment the grand conclave of sorcerers had awaited. Earth was ripe. Primitive. Unaware. Or so they believed. The sorcerers descended in perfect formation, staffs raised, incantations vibrating in the marrow of every passerby. Pedestrians on the street barely looked up. Most held their phones aloft, capturing the spectacle on shaky TikTok live streams. A food delivery driver swerved his bike around the edge of the glowing summoning circle and muttered, "Great, more cosplay people blocking traffic." The High Archmage cleared his throat, ready to deliver the speech he polished over decades. "Behold, mortals, your new mass." The words froze. Before him, a glowing sign buzzed lazily, "Starbucks, free Wi-Fi for customers only." The wizards blinked. Their cosmic portals still churned behind them, yet every magical sense they possessed funneled toward the strange lock network. Invisible energies pulsed from a black box behind the counter, taunting them. A junior wizard, his horns polished to ceremonial shine, whispered, "Master, is that a containment ward?" The Archmage frowned, muttered a quick spell, and extended his staff toward the router. Nothing. His spell slid off its defenses like rain off glass. Another wizard chanted, sparks dancing across his fingertips. Still nothing. The humans behind the counter watched with mild amusement. One barista leaned on the register. "You guys want something? We've got pumpkin spice lattes back." The Archmage roared, "You dare mock us? We, who unraveled the dark nebula, who bent comets to our will." A girl at the corner table tapped her screen. Excuse me, could you guys stop yelling? I'm on Zoom." Hashtag enter Marcus. The doors jingled. In stepped a man in his late 30s, charcoal suit perfectly pressed, smile polite but unreadable. He carried no staff, no glowing relic, only a slim tablet tucked under his arm. "Ah," he said warmly, surveying the circle of bewildered wizards. "Our guests have arrived. Welcome to Earth." The sorcerer shifted, uneasy. His voice was calm, almost too calm, the way a surgeon speaks before the incision. "I am Dr. Marcus Kane, liaison for interspecies relations," he continued. "I trust your journey was eventful." The Archmage puffed his chest. "We come to claim dominion, human. Resist and—" Marcus raised a hand gently. Of course. But first, might I suggest a beverage? Conquest is thirsty work." He gestured to the barista, who already held out a tray of steaming cups. One of the younger sorcerers sniffed suspiciously. The aroma of cinnamon and coffee beans wrapped around him like a spell. He sipped, then blinked in betrayal. "This is magnificent." The Archmage shoved the cup away. "We did not come for your potions, Kane. We came for—" he jabbed his staff toward the glowing router. "That—" Marcus tilted his head, feigning innocence. "The Wi-Fi." "Yes." The Archmage's voice cracked with fury. "Your barrier confounds us. 2 centuries of preparation, undone by this encryption." Marcus's smile widened almost imperceptibly. "Ah. Yes. The password." A ripple of unease spread through the sorcerers. The way he said it, like the word itself, was a weapon. Hashtag the password problem. One wizard slammed his staff to the floor. Runes flared across the tiles, a language older than stars. With a triumphant cry, he directed the spell toward the router. The lights flickered, then held steady. The sign flashed mockingly, "Incorrect password. Try again, asterisk asterisk." The cafe erupted in muffled laughter. A college student whispered, "This is better than Netflix." The Archmage snarled, "Do you think this is a game?" Marcus took a slow sip from his own cup. His eyes never left the Archmage's. Most games, I've found, reveal more about their players than they realize. Another wizard, pale and twitchy, leaned close to his leader. "Master, what if this is not a simple ward? What if this is their weapon?" The Archmage waved him off. Yet doubt not at his tone. "Ridiculous. No mortal species could." Marcus interjected softly, almost kindly. "You've studied sorcery for 200 years. Impressive dedication. But tell me, how much time did you invest in studying us?" The silence that followed was louder than any thunder. #### subtle threats. The aliens eyed Marcus more closely now. His posture remained relaxed, but his words carried weight. Each syllable was wrapped in courtesy, but beneath it lay something sharper, like velvet hiding a blade. The Archmage tried to reassert control. "Do not toy with us, human. We have crushed empires greater than yours." Marcus leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice steady. "And yet, here you are. Stopped at the door. By a password." One of the baristas chuckled. Marcus didn't. His gaze remained locked on the Archmage, his smile polite but his eyes calculating. "I assure you," Marcus said, tone silky, "Earth prides itself on hospitality. You'll find us accommodating. Though we do insist on some formalities. Fill out a few forms, prove you're not a robot, maybe solve a CAPTCHA or two. It shouldn't take longer than," he glanced at his watch, "a century, give or take." A ripple of unease coursed through the conclave. #### the first crack. The youngest sorcerer broke. "Master, perhaps we underestimated them. This calmness, it is not natural." The Archmage hissed. Silence. Yet his own grip on the staff tightened. Marcus rose smoothly from his chair. "I'll give you some time to deliberate. Please, make yourselves comfortable." He gestured to the cushioned seats. "We value the comfort of our guests. After all," he paused, smile sharpening just slightly, "a comfortable guest is easier to keep." With that, he turned and strolled toward the exit, leaving the sorcerers in a room that suddenly felt far smaller than before. #### closing beat. The Archmage glared at the glowing sign again. Free Wi-Fi for customers only. 200 years of preparation. Spells that bent reality. Armies of apprentices. And still, a human word burned brighter than all their runes: password. Somewhere beyond the glass walls of the cafe, the city carried on, indifferent, bustling, alive. The sorcerers had arrived to conquer, but for the first time in centuries, they felt something unfamiliar tighten in their chests. Not triumph. Not certainty. It was fear. #Chapter 2, The Wi-Fi War. The cafe smelled of burnt espresso in quiet humiliation. The conclave of sorcerers sat hunched at tables too small for their flowing robes, their staffs leaning awkwardly against chairs. To the casual observer, they looked less like conquerors and more like a failed improv troupe stranded on tour. The Archmage broke the silence first. His voice, once used to command armies, cracked against the mundane clink of coffee cups. 2 centuries of study, and we are stalled by this. His finger jabbed toward the router. A wizard with owl-like eyes adjusted his spectacles. The barrier resists every arcane frequency. I've tried hexes, counter-hexes, even the 12-layer prism chant. Nothing penetrates. From a nearby booth, a student muttered, "Maybe try the guest network." The Archmage's glare could have melted steel. The student didn't notice, he was too busy scrolling Instagram. ##### the first attempts. One of the younger sorcerers rose in frustration. His staff glowed as he invoked a spell of unraveling. Energy hissed across the floor, curling like smoke, and struck the router. Lights flickered. For one glorious moment, the network wavered, then the screen blinked. Incorrect password. Please try again, ****. The barista applauded politely. Close one. The sorcerer's face flushed crimson. This cannot be. Even the vaults of Ilthar opened before my hand. Another wizard muttered, perhaps Ilthar didn't have a firewall. The Archmage slammed his palm against the table. Enough. This is not ordinary technology. It is strategic. #### doubts among them. The conclave fell into uneasy whispers. They knew we were coming. Perhaps this password is a sigil of containment. No, look at the humans. They are calm. Too calm. The alien apprentice with scaled skin trembled. What if they're not prey? The Archmage silenced him with a glare, but doubt spread. They had expected resistance, primitive armies, crude weapons, desperate cries. Instead, they faced indifference. #### Marcus returns. The door jingled again. Marcus Kane strolled back in, holding a brown paper bag. His suit was immaculate, his smile practiced. Still at it? His tone was light, but his eyes scanned every face like he was reading a chessboard. He set the bag on the counter. Brought muffins. Blueberry, if that helps morale. The Archmage stood. You mock us? Never. Marcus's voice was honey. Hospitality is sacred. Besides, it's unwise to fight on an empty stomach. One of the wizards snatched a muffin, tearing it open with suspicion. He took a bite, froze, then whispered, "This is divine." Marcus smiled. Glad you approve. Now, about your little password problem. Every robed head turned toward him. #### the polite labyrinth. Marcus placed his tablet on the table. Accessing our networks requires authorization. Forms, clearances, certain security procedures. Nothing too serious. The Archmage growled, "We do not bow to paperwork." Marcus spread his hands, apologetic. Of course not. Still, without proper credentials, the system won't grant you entry. Security, you understand. We've had intrusions before. He slid a sleek digital form across the screen. It stretched into endless sections: name, species, galactic identification number, homeworld codes, emergency contact. Then, cryptic human oddities: favorite pizza topping, mother's maiden name, first pet. The conclave stared in horror. This is sorcery, whispered one. Marcus chuckled softly. Oh no! Bureaucracy. #### alien reactions. The arrogant wizard sneered. We are beings of the arcane. We will not answer to your trivial riddles. The quiet, wise alien spoke next, his voice low. Do you not see? This is deliberate. They conceal power behind triviality. They want us to underestimate it. Another alien, scales trembling, leaned forward. I don't think they want us to underestimate. I think they want us to fail. The Archmage scoffed. Nonsense. These creatures are simple. Yet his voice faltered. Marcus, still smiling, tapped the screen. Take your time. These things can't be rushed. Hashtag tension rises. The conclave bickered. One argued that brute force was the answer, channel enough energy, and the password would yield. Another insisted subtlety was key, that the humans were hiding traps within traps. Meanwhile, Marcus lingered nearby, sipping his coffee, offering polite commentary that felt like blades hidden in velvet. I see you're trying brute force. Clever, but unfortunately the system might lock you out after 3 failed attempts. The Archmage stiffened. And then? Marcus sipped. Then the account is frozen for 90 days. Standard policy. The younger wizards blanched. 90 days, an eternity in a war of minutes. Hashtag a crack in confidence. One sorcerer finally snapped. Master, admitted, we are outmatched. These humans wield patience as a weapon. We prepared for battle, not bureaucracy. The Archmage struck the table. Silence. They are ants in robes of civility. Nothing more. Marcus leaned closer, his voice silk. Funny. I've always thought of ants as industrious, relentless, and, when provoked, surprisingly lethal. The Archmage's glare met his calm smile. For the first time, the Archmage looked away first. Hashtag the whisper of fear. The conclave's whispers grew frantic. What if this is a trap? What if the password doesn't exist? What if the network itself is the weapon? Marcus tucked his tablet under his arm, standing with unhurried grace. I'll leave you to deliberate. We'll have dinner arrangements ready soon. Don't worry, we never let our guests go hungry. His words sounded polite, but the pause on guests lingered like a shadow. The door jingled shut behind him. Hashtag closing beat. The wizards sat in silence. Outside, the city pulsed with neon life, humans hurrying about their business as if galactic invaders weren't debating their existence over pastries. The Archmage stared at the router, his knuckles white around his staff. For the first time in centuries, he felt the gnaw of something his training had not prepared him for. Not confusion. Not frustration. It was the creeping suspicion that the humans were not resisting because they didn't need to. Chapter 3, The Trap Springs. The lights inside the cafe dimmed as dusk spread its fingers across the city. Outside, traffic pulsed, horns blaring, neon signs flickering. Inside, the sorcerers argued in tight whispers, their once commanding voices cracked with doubt. The Archmage paced, robes trailing like storm clouds. This is strategy. They are playing for time. They're mocking us, said the arrogant wizard. We should level this building and drag the password from the ashes. The quiet one shook his head. And if the building survives? What if it is not the source but a lure? That word, lure hung in the air like smoke. The door jingled again. Marcus returned, his stride unhurried, his expression warm. He carried no weapon, yet the room stilled as if he had drawn a blade. Still deliberating? His tone was pleasant. I admire persistence. It's a virtue. The Archmage snapped, enough riddles. What is this password? Why does it defy us? Marcus set his coffee on the table, folded his hands, and leaned in. His smile was as polite as ever, but his eyes were sharp now, cutting. Because you never invaded a planet like ours before. Hashtag the first reveal. The conclave froze. Marcus spoke slowly, each word deliberate. You prepared for battle. For fire, steel, and sorcery. You trained to conquer armies, shatter walls, silence resistance. But you never prepared for patience. Or paperwork. Or a system designed not to resist you, but to study you. One of the younger wizards hissed, Study us? Marcus's smile widened by a fraction. From the moment you stepped through that portal, every movement, every incantation, every flicker of energy has been recorded, analyzed, filed. Even now, you are providing us with valuable data. The Archmage's knuckles whitened on his staff. You claim this was planned? Planned? Marcus chuckled softly. No, Archmage. It was inevitable. You were always going to walk into this room. You were always going to reach for the network. And we were always going to watch. ### doubt becomes fear. The conclave's whispers grew frantic. They baited us. This place is not a battlefield, it's a cage. Every spell we cast, they want us to cast. The arrogant wizard slammed his fist. Lies. They are weak. They cower behind technology. Marcus tilted his head. Weak? Perhaps. But tell me, how does one measure strength? By the force of a spell? Or by how efficiently one can dismantle it? He tapped his tablet. Instantly, the lights flickered, and the wizard's staffs dimmed. The arrogant one gasped as the glow drained from his runes. Marcus smiled politely. We've had some practice neutralizing energy signatures. Yours are refreshingly familiar. ### the Predator's smile. The Archmage straightened, his voice trembling. You dare cage us? We are the Conclave. We have outlived empires. Marcus stood, his movements calm, deliberate. Yes, empires fall. Often because they never realize they've walked willingly into a trap until the jaws close. He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a conversational murmur. You thought Earth was prey. That was your first mistake. We don't roar. We don't brandish claws. We smile, we offer coffee, we hand you forms to fill out. All the while, we measure your reach, your arrogance, your limits. The youngest wizard whispered, barely audible, predators. Marcus's smile softened. Finally, someone sees us clearly. ### chaos unleashed. The Archmage shouted, desperate, destroy the device. A half-dozen staffs rose, unleashing storms of flame and lightning. Energy crashed against the router, yet the room shimmered. Invisible panels of reinforced glass dropped from the ceiling with a hiss. Spells splattered harmlessly against transparent walls. Outside the cafe, passers-by continued their lives. No one noticed the cage that had sealed shut around the conclave. Marcus didn't flinch as fire licked the glass inches from his face. You see, we didn't build this trap to contain power. We built it to contain overconfidence. The arrogant wizard screamed, launching a torrent of black energy. The glass pulsed, absorbed, and redirected it back. He crumpled, unconscious, smoke curling from his robes. The cafe smelled of ozone and burnt pride. ### Marcus explains. Marcus walked slowly among them, hands folded behind his back, like a professor giving a lecture. Do you know what fascinates me about invaders? They always believe conquest is linear. You train, you march, you invade, you rule. Efficient, yes. Predictable, certainly. And that predictability is why you fail. He paused, eyes sweeping the conclave. Humans are not linear. We improvise. We adapt. We let others underestimate us because it makes the reveal so much sweeter. His voice softened into mock sympathy. You've never fought predators who wear masks. But here we are. ### the breaking point. The Archmage slammed his staff again, fury masking fear. We will not bow. You cannot destroy us all. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Destroy? My dear Archmage, if we wanted you destroyed, you wouldn't have lasted 7 minutes. No, we want you alive. Studied. Catalogued. You're far more valuable breathing. The quiet alien muttered, trembling, he speaks the truth. They never resisted because they didn't need to. They invited us in. The Archmage's face twisted with rage. Silence. But silence was spreading, not from obedience, but from terror. The conclave felt the truth gnawing at their confidence. They hadn't invaded. They had been collected. ####, the polite threat. Marcus stopped in front of the Archmage, smile polite, tone conversational. I do hope you'll adjust. Earth is generous to its guests. We'll house you, feed you, even offer Wi-Fi access eventually. He leaned closer, his whisper colder than any shout. But never mistake courtesy for weakness. Our smiles are simply another kind of weapon. The Archmage staggered back, his robes heavy, his certainty shattered. ####, closing beat. The cafe door jingled once more as Marcus stepped out into the cooling night, leading the conclave in their shimmering cage. Outside, New York pulsed on, indifferent. Horns blared, laughter drifted, the city devoured itself in neon. Inside, the greatest sorcerers of the galaxy sat trapped, broken not by armies or weapons, but by a word they had never understood. Password. And somewhere in the shadows of Marcus's smile, the real hunt had only just begun. #Chapter 4, the final twist. The air inside the cafe was thick with smoke and the metallic tang of spent magic. Cracks spiderwebbed across the transparent walls of the containment field, glowing faintly as they absorbed the last barrage of spells. The conclave of sorcerers, once regal and untouchable, now looked frayed, robes torn, faces strained, confidence unraveling. The Archmage's eyes blazed. He raised his staff high. We will not end here. Conclave, together. The wizards obeyed, gathering their remaining strength. A chorus of ancient incantations thundered through the room. Their combined power shook the walls, rattled glass, and drew sparks from every lamp. Outside, the city's lights flickered as if the universe itself bent to their will. For the first time, pedestrians paused. A couple of bystanders glanced through the window, phones raised. Cool special effects, one muttered before resuming a selfie. Inside, lightning and fire spiraled together, condensing into a storm that promised annihilation. The Archmage roared, "Behold the end of your illusions, human!" The storm crashed forward, blinding and absolute. And vanished. Not with an explosion, not with a bang, just nothing. The energy dispersed into the air like mist under sunlight. The conclave gasped. From the shadows near the counter, Marcus Kane clapped once, polite, almost bored. Impressive form. Shame about the execution. ###, the predator reveals his teeth. Marcus stepped closer, brushing imaginary dust from his suit. His calm smile never faltered. Do you know the difference between a predator and prey? The Archmage spat the word, strength. Marcus shook his head. Patience. He tapped his tablet. The transparent walls dissolved, only to reveal ranks of hidden drones perched along the ceiling, lenses glowing red, weapons primed. From beneath the floor, panels slid open, releasing silent machines that crawled like metallic insects, surrounding the conclave. The sorcerers stumbled back, staffs raised. Marcus's voice carried over the hum of the drones. You prepared for combat. We prepared for you. Every incantation you spoke was logged, tested, neutralized before you finished saying it. Every weapon you wielded was turned into a demonstration for our analysts. The quiet wizard whispered, they didn't fight us. They studied us. Marcus gave him a courteous nod. Exactly. ###, the breaking point. The Archmage tried to muster defiance. You underestimate the conclave. Even weakened, we will never kneel to insects. Marcus's smile thinned. Funny you should use that word. He gestured, and the crawling drones clicked into synchronized formation, sharp limbs gleaming. Insects survive. Insects adapt. You step on one, 1,000 more appear. Does that sound weak to you? The arrogant wizard lashed out with a final desperate spell. A searing bolt shot toward Marcus, only to freeze midair, caught by a shimmering field. Marcus didn't flinch. He simply adjusted his tie and let the spell dissolve into sparks. Thank you for confirming your limitations, he said calmly. Your repertoire is now complete. #### humanity's true weapon. Marcus began to pace slowly, speaking as if delivering a lecture to students rather than addressing intergalactic conquerors. Humans never win by being the strongest. We win by being unpredictable. We smile while sharpening knives. We invite you in for coffee while building cages under your feet. And we never show our teeth until it's too late. He stopped in front of the Archmage, voice lowering to a razor's edge. You saw Wi-Fi. A password. A triviality. What you didn't see was the trap, your own arrogance, the assumption that we were simple. The youngest sorcerer's voice cracked. What do you want from us? Marcus crouched, his tone gentle, almost kind. Information. Patterns. Knowledge. Every invader who walks through our door adds another piece to the puzzle. With each attempt, humanity grows sharper. Hungrier. More prepared. He stood again, towering now despite his unassuming frame. You thought this was your conquest. In truth, it was our harvest. #### the final confrontation. The Archmage screamed, rage and despair colliding. He unleashed everything, centuries of stored power, a torrent of light and shadow that should have torn the cafe to rubble. But before it struck, the drones synchronized, emitting a sound like a single note of infinite precision. The Archmage's power shattered midair, broken into harmless motes of light that drifted to the floor. He collapsed to his knees, staff clattering. The conclave followed, their shoulders sagging. Powerless. Marcus approached, each step measured. He knelt beside the Archmage and spoke softly, so only the broken sorcerers could hear. You lasted longer than most. 7 minutes. Congratulations. #### aftermath. The drones tightened their circle. A low hum filled the air as restraints deployed, bands of light that bound wrists and staffs alike. The conclave didn't resist. They couldn't. Marcus straightened his suit jacket, addressing them as though wrapping up a business meeting. You'll be transferred shortly. Comfortable quarters. Regular meals. Unlimited access to Netflix. Consider it, house arrest with amenities. The quiet wizard dared a question. Why not kill us? Marcus's smile returned, calm and sharp. Because corpses don't teach. You will. #### the closing twist. Outside, the city buzzed on, oblivious. Tourists snapped photos, couples argued, taxis honked. Life on Earth didn't pause for galactic invaders, it swallowed them whole. Marcus paused at the door, one hand on the handle. He looked back at the broken conclave, his voice smooth as silk. You came here seeking dominion. You found Wi-Fi. And in chasing it, you revealed everything about yourselves. That's humanity's secret. We don't defeat invaders. We let them defeat themselves. The Archmage whispered hoarsely, monsters. Marcus's smile deepened. No. Hosts. With that, he stepped outside. The door jingled shut. Inside, the galaxy's greatest sorcerers sat in chains of light, conquered not by battle, but by a password they never cracked. And somewhere in the endless sprawl of the city, servers whirred, drones watched, and humanity prepared. Not for defense. Not for survival. For the next guests.